So in this video I'm going to give you a house tour, and then I need your opinion on what me and my husband and my 3 children do next. If you don't know, hi, I'm Amelia. We are a homeschooling family of 3. I have 3 boys aged 9, nearly 6 and just turned 1. We live in England in a average size 3-bedroom ex-council house, and we are in the process of deciding whether we move house, do an extension, or just pay off our mortgage and try and make the house that we have currently work for longer. So I'm going to show you around, and then at the end of this video I'm going to go through and explain our plans, and I really need other like-minded people to help me make this decision, and then I'll talk to you at the end and show you all the plans. So this is our front door. We are dog sitting, and you come into the front door straight through to the hallway, which obviously this stuff is not normally here. And the house is a mess. We have stuff everywhere because we live here, and I've just decided to film this video while my baby is napping and I haven't had time to clean. This is our hallway, and you come in, and again, dog stuff. We've just gone for a food shop, so this isn't normally here. There's just stuff everywhere, but this is our hallway. So our front door here, and this is our hallway, and you've got these stairs, and then we come through to the hallway, and to this first door here takes you through to our living room. So this is our living room, apparently a very messy living room, and this is the space we are currently working with in here. It's not a big room, but it's not terrible. It's just when you have lots of people around, there's only so many people that can fit in here. You walk through to the living room from the hallway. So then back in the hallway, we then go straight forward into our open plan living room, kitchen diner. So this is our kitchen, and on the camera it does look a lot better than it is, but this is a over 25-year-old kitchen, and if you haven't seen it, I've got a video where I did a DIY renovation for about £200, and that was 2 years ago, and it is now not doing great, but also the doors are falling off. It's just an old kitchen and it needs redoing, ideally very soon, because cupboards, the amount of cupboards that have fallen off recently, the baseboard, the pier, they all are broken. There's no clips for them, they can't be fixed on. These are all stickers on the wall and they're peeling off, and the ones behind them were not good. This is our kitchen. It's not a bad size. For the size of the house, it's really good, and compared to my old house kitchen was probably like this big, so it's much bigger, but it's still not massive for someone who homeschools and cooks everything from scratch. This is our dining room area, and we have all of our homeschool things here, and we do our homeschool on this table, and then you go back through to the living room. So there's 2 doors here and here that take you from the living room hallway into this area. So this is where the house originally ended, pretty much. There's this, again, things are falling to pieces. There's this very old school, which used to be the larder from the 50s, but it's now a bin cupboard because the previous owners did a small extension. So this is now walking through to the back of the house in the extension. And the reason the previous owners did this extension, the people who lived here their whole life, from the 50s through until they both passed away, just before we bought it. And the husband ended up needing a wheelchair, so they made this extension with wheelchair access that goes around the house. And you've got this very old and dated wet room that we desperately need doing. This needed doing before we even moved in, really. And we've just managed to live with it for 5 years, 6 years nearly, because we haven't wanted to spend the money. And we've been umming and ahhing about what we do with this space. So that's the wet room. And then this at the moment we're just using for more storage, and a tumble dryer that just is random there because it used to be in our outside shed. We got rid of the outside shed to make a cabin, so we brought it in here to make our life easier. So this is just a bit of wasted space again, and then you come down through to what is currently our kids' playroom, which is a complete and utter tip because my children have too much Lego. This is our children's playroom, and I think the camera is making things look a bit bigger than they actually are because I've got it zoomed out. We have double doors leading out into our garden, which we love, and out there we have our cabin that we built in the summer, which is about 3 meters by 5 meters, and now my husband works out there and we have a gym out there. And what we love about this house is we love that it has a really big garden. For where we live in the UK, this is a pretty big garden. Finding a house with a similar garden is really hard. So you've got all this space, but what you don't realise is you have this kind of area, which is wasted space, next to the house. It kind of leads around to the garden, so you can take that path that I told you all the way around to that side of the garden. But this is a wasted area now. We don't really use it. Sometimes in the summer, the kids do play in there. As you can see, we've got kids' things here. And it looks like my garden is Sid's garden from Toy Story. If you know, you know. Up here, which takes us to all my stuff that's dumped on the stairs. Oh, and my baby woke up. Perfect timing. So you come up into the hallway, and this is the window that shows you the back of the house and the current extension and the gap here. Let's go get our baby. And this is our hallway that leads to everything else. And then we go through here, and it's our family bathroom. We've got our bath, and this is our family bathroom, and we had a shower downstairs. These cupboard is where the stairs go up, and then you come back through. We've got an airing cupboard here. It used to be the airing cupboard, and now we have a boiler upstairs. This is our master bedroom, which is a bit of a dump. Our whole house is a bit of a dump because we ran out the first thing in the morning for swimming lessons. And as you can see, we still have the old tatty carpets up here. It's because we never got new ones because our kids were still really young when we moved in, and we didn't want the new ones to get ruined. But this is our master bedroom. We have a super king bed, which is 6 foot wide. And these are very shallow wardrobes from IKEA. But this is the space that we currently have. And I'm not going to lie, it does feel cramped. It's not a bad size room, but this is the biggest room we have. And with baby in here, it just does feel quite small. We would love a bigger space, and we would love an ensuite. So then coming out of our bedroom, it goes into my eldest son's room. Again, a really decent size. So this is his room, which is a complete and utter mess. And then we're going into my middle son's room. And this is our small kind of box room, I guess is what they would call it. So this is his bedroom. It's not a bad size for a box room. It's pretty decent size. And this himself, which I think is a really cool colour. But this is his bedroom, and this used to be Joel's office before we had the cabin. So when we got the cabin, he moved into here and my eldest in there. But we're at a point now where my youngest, who is just turned 1, is going to be needing a room in the next year. And yeah, they can share rooms, but there's a very big age gap between my middle and my youngest. And my eldest can't share a room for reasons. Okay, so I filmed that way earlier. Was it today? It might have actually been yesterday. I honestly can't remember. And now I'm just going to talk through with you our plans for the house and kind of get your opinion on things. So I've got loads of bagels that I need to, well, bagel dough that I need to turn into bagels. So I thought while I do this, I'll have a chat with you guys. Yeah, get your opinions on some things. Most people we talk to say that we should just do it, but a lot of the people we speak to kind of don't see anything wrong with debt or have a lot of it themselves, or like see debt as a tool. And if you do, that's up to you. Of course, you do what you do you. But personally, I like to avoid debt at all costs. I've learned from my upbringing that debt is not something that I want to ever really get used to. Mortgages and how before we had our child, we were planning on getting the mortgage paid off early, and that is still a plan. Like we should be able to get it paid off in the next 5 to 7 years if we don't add any more debt to that. But that is the question now. There's kind of 3 avenues we're thinking of going down, and I want to know people who get where I'm coming from and who are very much don't agree with debt. Like I do often follow like the Dave Ramsey approach when it comes to debt and money. My husband works from home, and obviously I homeschool, so we are at home a huge amount of the time. And to us, home is very much like a sanctuary. Like we really love a comfortable home. And that doesn't mean fancy, it doesn't mean big, it just means for us, we want it to be how we like it. Plan A is we obviously, and this was the plan, was we stay in this house, we don't do any work to it other than the jobs that are needed. Like it does need a new kitchen. It might not seem like that, but we did like a cheap DIY that I have a video of this a couple of years ago. But it is a 25-year-old kitchen at the end of the day, and that's not going to change anytime soon. It will need a new kitchen, which is going to be as it stands in this place with Joel installing it himself and making it how we want. It will still be about 10 grand to do that. Also, the roof does currently need redoing, so another kind of like 10 grand for that as well. And the downstairs bathroom really needs redoing, and we'll be turning that into a utility room. So there are things that if we don't do anything to the house, as in extend or move, we will be doing them anyway. So there is 30k worth of work that does need doing in the house as it stands, but we can cash flow that over the next few years while still paying off our current mortgage. We currently have, I think now, about 90,000 left on our mortgage, and we are working really hard to try and get that paid off, as we also have a really good fixed rate. We bought this house nearly 6 years ago and got a 10-year fixed rate at 2%. So we've got about 4 years left on it, and our plan is to kind of get it paid off before the fixed rate ends, really. So scenario number 1, stay here, do the DIY kind of jobs that we need to do on this. But the house does feel small, it does feel cramped to host Christmases. Generally we have people here and we love having people around. It's something that I find so much joy in. Most families who send their kids to school and who go into work, we are in our house a lot more than the majority of people. That's kind of scenario number 1. Scenario number 2 is we stay in this house and do an extension. So I'll probably put up the plans for the extension and talk through what that looks like. What we're getting for is the idea of it's going to cost about 100 grand to do the work. And for all that, we will have 4 double bedrooms, ours with our master bedroom with an ensuite. We will have 2 separate reception rooms, like a little snug with our TV in, as well as another living room without a TV in, because I don't want TVs there. We'd have a really nice big open plan dining room and kitchen with a secret pantry. Scenario number 2 also means we'll have a utility room. And if I haven't already explained it, our house has a really good garden and you just don't get that nowadays. But that will get us we'd have about 100 grand worth more of debt than we currently have, which is pretty much double the mortgage that we have. And it means that we won't be able to obviously pay it back as quickly. And for those of you who don't know, I very much follow the idea of mortgage or household costs should only cost about 25% of your overall income. And if we took on the extra mortgage, it would be over that. Not a huge amount over, but it would be over that 25% of our current income. So we'd be fine, like we can get by still, but we wouldn't be able to overpay it like we are now, and we wouldn't be able to save anywhere near as much as we are now. But we would get a really lovely house for that. Not a dream house, like our plan, if we could do dream scenario, we would buy land somewhere, but where we live in the UK, you're looking for any form of land with any form of decent house, a minimum of 650, 700,000 pounds, which is not our budget whatsoever. So that's scenario number 2. Scenario number 3 is moving house. However, what we're finding for the amount of so the budget we would have for moving house, we've made it so the same as what it would be if we did the extension here. So kind of 100 grand more than what we would sell our current house for, which in our area does not get you much, and we would have to compromise hugely. Like, the thing about doing the extension is that it would be a close to dream house internally as possible with a big garden. It's a semi-detached, which that's not going to change, and it's not got as much land as we'd like, but for our budget, it's pretty darn close to what we want internally, size-wise. Like, if we ever did have more kids, we would still be able to fit into this house with the extension, whereas if we had more kids as it currently is, it would be a squash and a squeeze. We would probably have to move or do an extension. Scenario number 3 is obviously moving house and getting another mortgage of, again, about 100k, but what you have to take into account is then the moving costs, like we'll have to pay stamp duty and the estate agent fees and lawyers and the selling fees, all of them will come into play. And for what we're looking at, that amount of money, you're not going to get what we'd have here. So we would have to compromise. It will probably be more likely like a new build, which I do not like. I'm sorry if you do, but I just don't enjoy new builds. I feel like they're not built very well and I only ever hear horror stories about them. But you'd get a small 4-bed, so they'll all be very much boxed rooms. Whereas the work we'll do here, it means that we'll have 4 very large double bedrooms. And we do have a super king bed, so our bedroom needs to be big. Maybe with a very small ensuite to the master bedroom. And then small downstairs living with potentially a drive for 1 car. Our drive at the moment can fit 3 or 4 cars on. But you'd get a detached property and that stuff would be better. But again, we'd probably be getting into more debt because also we would lose our fixed rate on this property, which is at 2%. And it would have to go up to like the 4 or 5% of whatever it is at the moment, or by the time we do it. So we'd probably be a lot worse off monthly. The thing is, if we went and bought another house, it wouldn't be as good financially per month. However, we are pretty much guaranteed to always get our money back on that. Whereas where we live now, it's an ex-council, it's a semi-detached, and there's going to be a ceiling for what we can get for this house, and we'd have to make sure if we did the work that we would stay here then for a certain amount of years to guarantee getting our money back on the house. So there currently are 3 ideas and options, and I would love to know what you all say. I'm sure I didn't put in all of the information you need into this, but for the little bit that I was able to give you, what would you guys do? What would be your go-to here? Would you move? Would you do the extension? Would you just stay put and deal with it as it is and do the work in the house anyway? And the reason I say about the work that's needed, mine and Joel's brain kind of goes, well, we're gonna have to spend 30k anyway, potentially getting a new roof, new kitchen, new downstairs like bathroom and utility, and all of the carpets and stuff need redoing. It's a lot of jobs that we've been putting off until we know if we're going to do the extension, but they are jobs that we'll need doing in the next year or two anyway. And it's like, well, if you're going to be spending that anyway, it's kind of like, well, that already takes off some of the cost of the extension in a way, because you're going to be paying that anyway, so then you're just paying for the extra things on top. Does that make sense? Like, the kitchen will be more expensive because it will be a much bigger kitchen. I love cooking. It is a complete joy to me. I love making all of my own breads, and it is a huge dream of mine to have a really big kitchen with an island. And doing the extension, we would get that. And that is the thing, doing the extension, the house would be exactly how we like it. Whereas I'm sure most of you know, whenever you move house, there's always something that you don't really like or that you would change or that isn't you. But I feel like obviously if we're spending that much money on our house as it is, I don't think we would be doing anything to the house. So I'm like, I don't want to, yeah, we're weighing up what we prefer. I feel like there's always going to be this part of me that is just holding out for buying that land. And what I don't want is to have another in-between house. I want the house that we go to, or this house, to be kind of our forever house, unless we ever find a house of land, if that makes sense. So if we do all the work here, we could stay here forever if we wanted to. Like, we wouldn't ever have to move. And if we were to move, it would be for that next step up where we could get that property with land, to start being able to raise our own chickens and ducks and all of that. That is the dream. And that is, if we move from here after doing the extension, that would be what we'd move to. What I don't want is the kind of budget we currently have for a house. It just feels like it's another in between, like it's not a forever house. It'll be small rooms, it'll be in a not as good a location. There's compromises in everywhere. Whereas where we are now, we know the location, we like the location, we know the house, we know what we're getting. We've been here 6 years. If we do the extension, we are going to cash flow as much as possible and take on as little amount of debt as possible. So let my bagels prove and then cook them up. But it's a really random video. I just need some help with me and Joel have spoken it over so much, and we just need to make a decision. And I'm really interested to see what people who think similar to us say. If they would get the debt, if they wouldn't, if they'd stay put, if they'd move. What would you do? Yeah, let me know in the comments. I really need some help here, and I hope you enjoyed being nosy and looking around my house. That is everything for this week's video. It's a bit of a strange one, not my normal content, but I hopefully will see you in my next video if I have any time to film, because at the moment it is quite late at night. I have lots to do. I'll see you in my next video. Bye friends.